Well, Governor, welcome to North Carolina. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be back.
How much do you know about North Carolina?
Bits and pieces. I know the governor real well. I know the lieutenant governor. Obviously, just have gotten to know most recently a new U.S. senator. But we hope to be here back a whole lot more in the future.
What should voters think about when they look at you and think about picking somebody for 2016, if and when you make that announcement?
Well, I think what makes us unique is there's in the emerging field of really wonderful Republican candidates and really great people. There's kind of two groups. There are fighters and there are winners. There's a group of people, mainly the U.S. senators, who fought the good fight, who challenged the president, but who've never really won anything, haven't accomplished anything in Washington. There's another group of governors and former governors, many of whom are dear friends of mine, who are really good at winning elections and getting reelected, but they haven't consistently taken on the big fights. I think what we offer, not just in the Republican primary if we were to get in, but even in a general election, is I'd be the candidate that done both. I have fought the good fights and won those fights consistently for hardworking taxpayers.
So this is a governor's versus senators primary. You see it that way?
Well, but I think it's even more than that, because even amongst I think there's certain values why before Barack Obama, the last time we elected a member of Congress was 1960. But I think it's bigger than that, because again, a lot of good governors, but I think what makes us unique, if we were to get in that mix, is that we've consistently taken on the big challenges. We won not just elections 3 times in 4 years in the state where there are more Democrats than Republicans. So we had to win with independents and even some discerning Democrat votes. But we won the really big battles. We went right to work. We lowered taxes by $2 billion. Property taxes are lower today than when we first started. And we passed voter ID, which stark contrast to Hillary Clinton, who's way out of the mainstream yet again, and commenting on that. We did regulatory reform, lawsuit reform, education reform. Our schools are better today than they were 4 years ago. All those things, I think, make us unique to anybody who's just a fighter or just a winner. Like I said, we've done both.
Your Democrat friends will say that Wisconsin's 40th, the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Job Creation, and last in the Midwest, and you cut $500 million in universities to fund this arena. What do you tell those folks in that case?
Well, as you can imagine, people have been beat 3 times in 4 years will say just about anything. Our economy is in great shape. Our unemployment rate down to 4.4, the lowest percentage it's been since April of 2008. Our labor participation rate, 68%, far above this, just over 62% at the national level. So unemployment's lower, employment, labor participation much higher. We've had 150,000 plus new jobs since been in office. We more than made up in the recession. And our budget that once had a $3.6 billion budget deficit now has a surplus. And I think when the same detractors and some of these other policies 4 years ago said the schools would be devastated with our reforms, 4 years later, graduation rates are up, third grade reading scores are up, ACT scores now in our state are second best in the country. So I think the naysayers have consistently been proven wrong.
Some people believe that foreign policy might be the #1 issue in 2016. How does a governor counter the fact that you don't really have foreign policy experience?
Well, in my lifetime, I think the best president when it comes to foreign policy has been a governor from California. In my lifetime, the worst president when it comes to foreign policy was a freshman senator from Illinois. And so I don't think being a governor or a senator automatically makes you good or bad. What it's all about is leadership. Reagan was a great president because the leadership he provided, not only to restore the military to its rightful capacity, not to be proactive, but rather to really rely on what he called peace through strength. And it was one of the lowest levels of military engagement, not because he was afraid to engage, but because our enemies knew he would. We don't have that leadership right now. Under the Obama-Clinton doctrine, we really have this kind of lead from behind mentality. And I think what is required for a good national defense and foreign policy strategy is to have someone who can lead. Governors implicitly do that. We surround ourselves in our cabinet with people who are smarter than we are. We listen to their counsel, we reach out to others, but in the end, we ultimately have to make decisions that people in Congress just don't do.
Some people have been asking the question about Social Security again, what to do about it, keep it solvent. Do you support raising the age for eligibility or means testing?
What we're looking at is a series of reforms. Again, should I be a candidate, we'll obviously lay out in greater detail. But for people who are retired or currently retired, we're not touching their Social Security. But I think for people around my age or younger, we understand that something's got to change, not just for our sake, but for our children, our grandchildren. And so I think there are reasonable reforms. Again, should we be a candidate, we'll lay them out in greater detail. I do think, though, big chunks of the federal government, be it in Medicaid, be it in transportation, education, even environmental protection, Those chunks of federal government should go back to the states, the state houses like this, and others across the country where it's more effective, more efficient, definitely more accountable, and that would help us not just balancing budgets, that would help us do it in a way that provided better quality services to our constituents.
We've heard from some senators get rid of the Department of Education. Ted Cruz said this morning, abolish the IRS. I mean, are you on board with that kind of stuff?
Well, to me, I just ask the better question than what are you going to abolish is, where's the money better spent? I'd rather keep the money for education. If you took $1 out of your wallet, I'd ask people, where's it better spent? In Washington, where it comes back with money skimmed off and pennies on the dollar with little or no value? Or would you rather keep it back at your kid's school, back in your home state? I'd rather keep it back in my kid's school in our home state. And so those are the side of approaches I've been talking about for years, not just right now in a would-be or potential campaign. I've been talking about this for years. It's something I think we need to act on quickly. The more we can narrow the size and scope of the federal government, the more we can put the power back in the hands of the hardworking taxpayers, the better off this country is going to be.
When it comes to the economy, it's still at the top of people's lists when you talk about what the biggest concern is. But unemployment is going down. You talked about in your state, job creation is up. But wage growth seems to be the big issue still when I talk to economists. What would President Walker do to help the wage growth?
Yeah, well, let's be clear, just one characteristic. Unemployment in our state's down, labor participation rates are high. Nationally, they're still very low, 62, just over 62%. That's one of the lowest levels since the 70s. So there is some problems at the federal level. I think what the answer to that is, to me, it's giving people the skills and the education that they need to succeed. It's taking big chunks of the federal money for worker training programs, workforce development programs, sending them back to the states where they can be used for 2-year community and technical colleges, where they can be targeted for apprenticeship programs and things that have a direct correlation to real jobs with great careers and great wages out there. You look at advanced manufacturing, you look at information technology and coding, you look at healthcare and construction. Those are all areas evolving in my state and across this country. Sadly, though, we don't have enough people with the skill sets to fill many of those positions. That's not only about filling jobs today. To a lot of those employers, they could grow and create even more of those jobs, more of those careers, but they don't have the confidence to do that now because they can't fill the positions they currently have open. For me, you send that money back to the states and empower them to place that in a way that fits the needs of not just the state, but of that region. That's going to be a powerful way to see wages go up and jobs go up.
We're about out of time, but for those that are just getting to know you, what's your message to the citizens of North Carolina?
Well, again, I think if somebody's looking for someone who can fight and win for someone like them every single day, I'd be their guy. If I were to get in, I'd be the candidate, and I'd ultimately be the president that would wake up every single day figuring out what do I need to do to fight and win for hardworking taxpayers, be they in North Carolina or anywhere else across this country. I think that's what people want, and they also want someone who's going to help make sure that everyone lives their piece of the American dream, not what we've had in the past, which is pitting one group of Americans versus another. I think they want leaders who say, how do I help everyone in this great country live their piece of the American dream? And that's the kind of president I'd be if I ran.
I know you can't answer, but do you have, when are you looking at making a decision?
Oh, from our standpoint, I can tell you. I mean, we look at, thinking of the State House here. Our state budget ends the end of this month. My goal is to get through that, and then shortly thereafter, we'll make our intentions known.